Step out of the car now. Her hands tighten on the steering wheel. You haven't done anything wrong. Shut up and get out before I drag you out myself. Her voice cracks. I'm a doctor. Please, we don't care who you are. Out now. A flashlight slams against the glass. The door wrenches open, metal screaming in protest. Cold night air rushes in. She's yanked from the seat, heels scraping asphalt. Stop resisting. One officer barks. I'm not resisting. Please, please don't hurt me. A fist crashes into her cheek. The sound is dull, sickening. She stumbles, knees hitting gravel. Her palms scrape raw. Boots close in. A hand grips her hair, forcing her face down. Her breath quickens sharp, shallow gasps. The night is alive with fists, grunts, bone against steel. Blood smears across her lips, dripping down her chin, soaking into the white of her blouse. You think that degree makes you better than us? Huh, another spit. I just want to go home. Her voice is barely a whisper, strangled between sobs. Red and blue lights flash, steady, mocking. Somewhere in the distance, sirens scream, but too far, too late. Her body trembles. Fingers twitch toward the gold band on her hand. The wedding ring glimmers faintly in the strobe of cruiser lights, her last tether to safety. Boots pound. Shadows blur around her. Then silence. Her chest rises once, twice stops. The camera lingers. Her body sprawled, blood pooling, ring catching the final flicker of red and blue. Darkness swallows everything. Silence. But this silence is different. No blood on the ground. No flashing lights. Instead, it's the stillness of a Sunday morning. Warm light filters through half-drawn curtains, turning the kitchen gold. A coffee pot gurgles softly on the counter. The smell of toasted bread lingers in the air. She stands barefoot, robe tied loosely, hair falling in gentle curls around her face. Her hands move with quiet precision, slicing fruit, buttering toast. Every action deliberate, unhurried. This is her sanctuary. Her husband enters, rubbing sleep from his eyes, shirt wrinkled, smiles soft. He pauses in the doorway, just watching her. The way the morning sun touches her skin, the small hum of a song she doesn't realize she's singing. Coffee's almost ready, she says, glancing back, eyes warm. He wraps his arms around her from behind, rests his chin on her shoulder. She laughs, a sound so alive it fills the room. The kind of laugh that tells you everything is still safe, still whole. At the table, their conversation drifts between trivial and tender. Her upcoming shifts at the hospital, his half-finished project at work, plans for next weekend, maybe a trip to the coast, maybe nothing at all. Moments are stitched together in their ordinariness. The clink of silverware, the rustle of a newspaper, the flick of his hand brushing crumbs off her cheek. Later, she walks through the hospital corridors, white coat swaying lightly with each step. Nurses greet her with nods of respect. Patients brighten when she enters. Her presence softens the sterility of the ward. A child grips her hand, refusing to let go. An elderly woman whispers blessings as she adjusts an IV line. To everyone she touches, she brings patience, dignity, comfort. Her voice is steady.com, never hurried. In a world of pain, she is steady ground. Outside, her husband waits in the car. He watches her through the windshield as she waves goodbye to a colleague. She doesn't notice the way his eyes linger, half in admiration, half in awe. In the passenger seat lies a framed photo, their wedding day, faces glowing with unguarded joy. He keeps it there like a charm, a reminder. At night, they sit together on the couch. A record spins softly in the background. The house glows with lamplight. She curls against him, book in hand, tracing idle patterns on his palm. He kisses the top of her head, slow and reverent. There is no rush in their world, no sense of urgency, just the rhythm of two people who believe tomorrow will look like today. The camera lingers on details, the steam rising from her tea, the gold of her wedding ring catching the lamplight, the easy silence between them, filled not with absence but with trust. Her life is not extraordinary because of titles or accolades. It is extraordinary because of how deeply she is loved, and how deeply she gives love back. This is what will soon be lost. The narration slows. The music fades. A shadow brushes across the frame, subtle, almost unseen. A quiet suggestion that something is waiting on the other side of this light. The scene freezes on her, laughter, eyes crinkled, mouth open in joy. And beneath that image, the silence sharpens again. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of dread. The image of her laughter lingers. Then it fades. Night, a long stretch of road cuts through the outskirts of town, empty, unforgiving. Her headlights slice through the dark, twin beams swaying with every turn of the wheel. Inside the car, the radio hums low. Static crackles between notes, as though the air itself resists sound. She drums her fingers lightly on the steering wheel, a quiet rhythm to keep herself awake after another long shift. She yawns, adjusts the rearview mirror. For a moment, she catches her own reflection, tired eyes, still carrying warmth. She smiles faintly, imagining the warmth of home, her husband waiting with the porch light on. Then red and blue flash in the mirror. The colors explode across the glass, swallowing her face, flooding the car in pulses of artificial light. Her breath catches, the rhythm in her fingers stops. She slows the car, signal clicking. Tires crunch against gravel as she eases onto the shoulder. The radio static thickens. The night feels too quiet, too still. She waits, both hands on the wheel. The glow of the dashboard reflects against her wedding band, a small circle of gold in the dark. The crunch of boots breaks the silence, heavy, slow, each step deliberate, predatory. A beam of light cuts through her side window, harsh and blinding. She shields her face instinctively. A voice growls, low and cold, license and registration. She fumbles with her purse, hands shaking more than she expects. Why, yes, officer. Another set of footsteps approaches, then another. 3 shadows gather, blotting out the moonlight. She glances into the side mirror. Shapes distort under the strobe of red and blue. Men with power, men with badges. Her voice trembles. Did I do something wrong? Silence for a beat. Then a laugh. Sharp, cutting, wrong. You think you're above the law because you wear a white coat. The driver's side door yanks open before she can answer. Her seatbelt jerks tight across her chest. She gasps. Step out. Her hands grip the wheel. Please. I'm just coming from work. I'm a doctor. I get out. The words are flat. Final. Her breath quickens. She unclips the belts, legs trembling as they touch the ground. The air feels colder now, sharper, filled with the metallic scent of rain on pavement, though no rain has fallen. 3 flashlights converge on her face. White light floods her vision. She blinks rapidly, blinded. Her chest rises and falls too fast. Hands on the car. She hesitates. The pause is fatal. A hand shoves her forward, chest striking metal. Pain bursts across her ribs. The hood of her car is warm under her palms, still ticking faintly from the drive. Her breathing is ragged now, shallow, uneven. A voice mutters near her ear. You think your degree makes you untouchable. Out here, you're nothing. Her pulse thunders. Please, I just want to go home. My husband. The words cut off in a cry as a fist drives into her stomach. Air escapes her lungs in a violent gasp. Her knees buckle. Gravel bites into her skin as she collapses to the ground. Fingers claw at the earth, desperate for balance, for control. Boot circle. One presses down on her wrist, pinning her hand. She feels her wedding ring dig into her skin, sharp, unforgiving. She screams, high and piercing, but the night swallows it. No cars pass. No one sees. Hands grip her arms, her shoulders, forcing her still. The metallic snap of a belt. The sound turns her blood to ice. Her mind fights to escape, to dissociate, to imagine her husband's face, smiling, warm, safe. She whispers his name like a prayer, Marcus, but the night has no mercy. Her last coherent thought is of him reaching for her across their kitchen table, his hand brushing crumbs from her cheek. The memory collapses against the brutality of now. Her breath shortens, cuts off. A muffled scream catches in her throat. Her body trembles violently, then weakens. Fingers twitch toward her ring. The gold glimmers faintly in the pulsing light. Her lifeline, her last tether. Then darkness pulls her under. The lights keep flashing. Boots shift on gravel. The static from her radio hisses on endless, indifferent, and the world moves on as if nothing happened. The radio static fades. The lights fade. The silence lingers. Then paperwork. The official report is filed before dawn. A neat stack of words hiding the chaos of the night. 3 officers scribble their signatures without hesitation. The narrative is locked. Suspect resisted arrest. Officers used necessary force. Death occurred during restraint. Nothing more. Nothing less. The body cam footage. Corrupted. A malfunction, they say. The device blinks red once, then dies in the evidence locker. Its final stutter is frozen. A single blinking light that records nothing. The district attorney doesn't flinch. He skims the report with the same indifference he uses to sign budget memos. Unfortunate, but no criminal liability here. His words land like concrete, sealing the case before it even breathes. The autopsy is conducted quickly, quietly. The coroner's pen is careful. Words erased, rewritten. Bruises minimized to contusions. Broken ribs reframed as pre-existing weakness. No mention of the violence. No mention of what they did to her body. No mention of the truth. Her death is flattened into a line of clinical ink. cardiac arrest due to stress response. The local paper runs the headline the next morning. Black woman dies after altercation with police. No photo of her smiling in her white coat. No story of the patients who clung to her kindness. Just the mugshot-style image pulled from her driver's license, washed out, stripped of dignity. On television, a uniformed spokesperson addresses the cameras. His words are calm, rehearsed, heavy with authority. She resisted. The officers followed protocol. Tragic outcome, but justified. The footage loops. His lips move in rhythm with the blinking red record light at the bottom of the screen. Each flash feels like a lie, pulsing, steady, unrelenting. At home, her husband sits in silence. The glow of the television flickers across his face, cold and sterile. He doesn't blink, doesn't speak. His jaw tightens, veins visible at his temple. His hand trembles against the arm of the chair, knuckles white. The screen shows his wife's name, shows her face reduced to a headline. A statistic. He can't look away. His chest feels hollow, his breath jagged. No one knocks at his door. No one comes to explain. No one apologizes. Instead, the machine spins. Reports filed. Stories rewritten. Truth buried. The city exhales indifference. But outside, the first stirrings of unrest begin. People gather in small clusters. Candles flicker in the dark, flames bending against the night air. Their light blinks gently, quietly like the failed body cam that refused to capture her last moments. Blink one candle becomes 10. 10 become 50. The chant is soft at first, then louder, a rhythm of grief and fury. But inside his house, he is still, staring, listening to the loop of official voices. The word resisting echoes, over and over, grinding against the memory of her laughter. He presses his palm to the framed wedding photo on the table. His hand shakes violently now. His eyes are wet, but he doesn't cry. The tears stay suspended, unshed, burning. The screen keeps blinking. The candles outside keep blinking. Two different lights, carrying two different truths. And in that flicker, something begins to fracture. The television screen finally goes dark, but the silence it leaves behind is worse than the lies it repeated. He sits there in the dim room, body slumped, eyes fixed on nothing. The only sound is the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, steady and indifferent, as though mocking his stillness. His hand rests on the arm of the chair, trembling. He doesn't notice how long he's been sitting. Time no longer moves in hours or minutes. It just hangs, heavy, suffocating. Upstairs, the bed waits, half empty, the sheets on her side untouched, still faintly holding the shape of her body. He lies there sometimes, facing her pillow, pressing his hand against it as if her warmth might seep back into him. It never does. Nights blur into mornings. He doesn't sleep. He just stares, at the ceiling, at the clock, at the void where her voice should be. In the quiet, the echoes come, her laughter, replaying in fragments. The way she'd hum while slicing fruit. The way she'd whisper his name half asleep. And then her last breath, a sound his mind conjures again and again. Shallow, strangled, fading. He presses his palms to his ears, but it doesn't stop. The sounds are inside him now. They claw at him, refusing to leave. One night he whispers aloud, barely audible, "I should have been there." The words hang in the darkness, fragile, broken. He says them again, louder this time, then louder still, until his throat burns, and his chest heaves with the weight of guilt. He drinks to quiet the voices. Whiskey at first, then whatever burns enough to blur the edges. Bottles piled by the sink, amber glass catching the moonlight through the window. He doesn't taste it anymore. It's just fire down his throat, punishment he welcomes. One evening, stumbling, he catches his reflection in the bathroom mirror. Eyes bloodshot, skin pale, a ghost wearing his face. He stares at himself for a long moment. Then, with a sudden surge, he smashes his fist into the glass. The mirror shatters. Fragments scatter into the sink, blood trickling from his knuckles. His fractured reflection stares back at him, split into a dozen broken pieces, none of them whole. Breathing hard, he grips the edge of the sink, knuckles dripping red. What am I doing? The question burns inside him, but there is no answer, only silence. The days grow heavier. He tries to function, tries to eat, to dress, to move. But the world outside feels hostile, every face unfamiliar, every sound too loud. He avoids the hospital where she worked. He can't bear the thought of her empty office, her patients asking questions no one will answer. The house is suffocating. Every corner is haunted. The kitchen hums with phantom laughter. The couch still carries the indentation of her body. The photo frames on the mantel cut like knives, frozen moments of a life stolen. He isolates himself. Friends knock, family calls. He doesn't answer. He lets the phone ring until the blinking light fades. The police report lies on his desk, cold and clinical. He's read it 100 times. Each word burns deeper. Resisted arrest, necessary force, cardiac arrest. Lies strung into sentences, designed to erase her humanity. He flips through the autopsy, knows every line, every falsified word. Contusions, stress response, no mention of the truth. No mention of the brutality carved into her flesh. He slams the folder shut. The sound reverberates through the empty house. Inside him, a storm brews. Two voices wage war. One whispers restraint, justice through patience, through faith. She would have wanted peace, not violence. The other voice is louder, raw, ruthless. They killed her. They erased her. And they will do it again. He sits at the edge of the bed, head in his hands, breathing hard, the silence thick around him. In his mind, he sees her hand twitching, reaching for her wedding ring, the gold catching the red and blue strobe. The final moment before the darkness, he presses his own hand against the ring on his finger. The band is cold, heavy. That's when the clarity comes. It doesn't arrive like a lightning strike. It arrives quietly, steadily, a truth he's been circling since the night she died. He cannot rely on the system, the DA, the police, the reports, the autopsy. They have already buried her twice, once in the ground, and once under lies. If he does nothing, she dies a third time, erased from memory, her story left untold. His body trembles, but his mind sharpens. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. He breathes slowly. The anger is no longer wild, no longer scattered. It condenses, focuses. He whispers her name, not in grief this time, but as a vow. For you. The blinking light of the answering machine catches his eye across the room. On off, a steady pulse in the dark. He stares at it for a long time, breathing in rhythm with the blink. The silence around him shifts. It no longer feels like absence. It feels like a waiting space, a pause before movement, and in that silence, he knows, the time for pleading is over. The time for vengeance is coming. The vow hangs in the silence. For you, and now the camera shifts. The men who took her life move through their days as though nothing has changed. No hesitation, no guilt, at least not on the surface. The first officer, Daniels, is a family man. He drives home after his shift, drops his duty belt on the counter with a heavy thud, and greets his kids with tired smiles. His wife kisses him on the cheek, dinner waiting on the table. He sits at the head, carves into roasted chicken, listens half-heartedly as his children chatter about school. His laughter is forced but passable. To them, he is father, provider, protector, not a killer. Yet when the house grows quiet, he lingers by the back porch, cigarette glowing between his fingers. Smoke curls into the night. His face tightens, eyes darting as if chased by shadows. He tells himself it was necessary, that she resisted, that he followed protocol. He repeats the lie until it feels less jagged, until the silence around him no longer claws at his skin. The second, Officer Miller, is the youngest, fresh out of academy, still with a boyish face that betrays his inexperience. He sits alone in his apartment, badge tossed on the counter beside a can of cheap beer. The television flickers in the dark, muted sports highlights looping endlessly. He can't watch the news. He can't stomach the headlines. His hands shake when he lights a cigarette, and sometimes he dreams of her face, the fear in her eyes, the way her voice broke when she begged. He wakes drenched in sweat, heart pounding, guilt pressing like a stone against his chest. But in the locker room, he doesn't dare show it. The third Sergeant Crowley is ambitious. He struts through the precinct like it's his kingdom, his uniform crisp, his words sharp, his eyes always scanning for opportunity. The incident, to him, is not tragedy but politics. He frames it as proof of his command, decisive, strong, unflinching. He positions himself for promotion, whispers in the ear of superiors, paints the narrative of control. To him, the dead woman is not human. She is a stepping stone, a footnote to leverage. In the locker room, the three converge. The air reeks of sweat, disinfectant, and damp uniforms. Metal lockers clang shut, laughter bounces off tiled walls. Crazy night, one mutters half crazy, yeah, necessary. Another replies, tone flat but firm. Crowley chuckles, slapping a younger officer on the back. World's better without troublemakers who think they're untouchable. Daniels doesn't laugh. He sits on the bench, tying his boots slowly. His face is blank, but his hands move too carefully, as if steadying himself. Miller forces a grin, but it doesn't reach his eyes. He nods, echoes agreement he doesn't feel. His throat is dry. He remembers the way her voice cracked when she said she just wanted to go home. He pushes it down, swallows the guilt, keeps the mask on. Crowley thrives on the banter, filling the space with arrogance. The DA's got our back. Autopsy already sealed. Media's parroting the line, we're covered. Don't lose sleep over it. Daniels exhales slowly, a long breath through his nose. He says nothing. The locker room falls quiet for a moment, the fluorescent light above flickering. The buzz hums like static, sharp against the silence. They are not monsters in appearance. They are men. Men with mortgages, ambitions, insecurities. Men who go home to wives, girlfriends, children. Men who order fast food on the way home, mow their lawns on Sundays, watch football with a beer in hand. But beneath the surface, shadows linger. Each of them knows, deep down, that what happened was not justice. That it wasn't restraint or protocol. It was power. Power unchallenged. Power unchecked. And each of them made a choice. Not to stop it. Not to speak. To let it happen. Complicity doesn't look like snarling villains. It looks like silence. Like the slow drag of a cigarette at midnight. Like forced laughter in a locker room. Like ambition overriding morality. The system shields them. The DA's indifference. The falsified autopsy. The media's convenient narrative. All weave a cocoon around their guilt. They tell themselves they are safe. They tell themselves they are right. But the rot is visible, if you know where to look. Daniel's eyes hollow when he stares into the dark backyard. Miller's trembling hands when no one is watching. Crowley's grin, too sharp, too rehearsed. They are not lone wolves. They are products of a machine that rewards silence, protects brutality, and buries truth. And while they convince themselves the storm has passed, somewhere across town, in a dimly lit house, a man sits in silence, his grief sharpening, his rage crystallizing. He has seen their names in the report. He has memorized their faces from the news. He knows them now, and soon, they will know him. He knows their names now. Daniels, Miller, Crowley. They sit in his head like a mantra. A poisoned prayer he repeats in silence. The grief hasn't vanished. It hasn't softened. It has crystallized into something sharper, something with edges. The house, once suffocating, becomes his workshop. The empty spaces transform into stations of ritual. The kitchen counter fills with maps, addresses, schedules. The glow of a single lamp casts long shadows over scattered papers. Red circles mark neighborhoods, back alleys, parking lots. On the table, 3 phones. Burners purchased in cash from gas stations on the outskirts of town. Each stripped of identifiers, each a tool for shadows. He lines them up neatly, as though order will keep the chaos inside him contained. His breathing is different now. No longer shallow gasps of grief, slow, measured, like a man training his lungs for what comes next. At night he drives, headlights off, car moving slow, hugging curbs. He parks blocks away, walks the rest on foot. Black hoodie pulled tight, cap low, sneakers silent against pavement. He watches. Daniel's first, the family man. He notes the rhythm. Patrol ends near midnight. Car pulls into the driveway. Porch light flicks on. Kids' laughter muffled through the walls. Daniels stands outside sometimes, cigarette glowing, always at the same spot on the back porch. Miller, the rookie, lives alone. Apartment window cracked, TV flashing dull light against thin blinds. His shadow moves nervously inside, pacing. He drinks cheap beer, sometimes stumbles onto the balcony to smoke. The loneliness radiates. Crowley, the sergeant, is harder. His routine is built around arrogant, expensive gym visits before dawn, late nights at the precinct, schmoozing with superiors, always alert, always scanning the world like it belongs to him. The husband studies them, not as men, as patterns, as weaknesses waiting to be split open. Days blur into weeks. He doesn't speak much anymore, doesn't answer calls, doesn't look at the bed where her body once curled. His world is reduced to shadows, to footsteps, to breaths counted in the dark. The first act comes on a Tuesday. He chooses Daniels. It begins with hesitation. He stands across the street, hidden by trees, watching the back porch glow. Daniels steps outside, just as always, cigarette between his fingers, face lit briefly by ember. He exhales smoke into the cold night. The husband's heart thunders. His palms sweat. He grips the handle of the knife hidden in his jacket. It feels heavy, foreign. His mind whispers doubt. She wouldn't want this. This isn't you. But another voice drowns it out. They killed her. They laughed. They buried her in lies. He steps forward, one foot then another. Gravel crunches softly beneath his shoes. His breath slows, each inhale measured, each exhale controlled. Daniels doesn't notice until it's too late. A shadow detaches from the trees. The knife flashes in the porch light. A gasp escapes Daniels, cut short by the blade sinking deep into his side. His cigarette drops, ember dying against the concrete. The husband grips tighter, eyes locked. He feels the life leaving the man, feels the hot spill of blood against his hands. It is not triumph. It is not release. It is emptiness swallowing him whole. Daniels collapses, body twitching, eyes wide with disbelief. He tries to speak, but blood fills his throat. His lips move soundlessly. The husband watches, breath steady, expression unreadable. Blood splatters across the porch rail, painting the wood dark. It drips rhythmically, a grotesque metronome counting down the final seconds of life. The husband kneels close, whispering, "For her," and then silence. He wipes the blade on Daniel's shirt, steps back into the shadows, disappears. The walk home feels endless. His hands shake now, not with fear but with the weight of what he has crossed. The line is behind him, gone forever. He cannot return to the man he was. In the bathroom, he scrubs his hands, raw. Blood swirls down the drain, mixing with water until nothing remains. He looks into the mirror cracked from weeks before. His reflection is fractured. His breathing steadies. He stares at the man staring back, half lit by the flickering bathroom bulb. There is no going back. The following nights are restless. Sleep doesn't come. Only flashes of Daniel's wide eyes, his choking gasp. The husband lies awake, but there is no regret, only inevitability. The list is not finished. He turns to Miller next. The boy, the coward, the one who shook but still stood silent. The husband studies his movements carefully, watches the balcony, the nervous pacing, the late-night trips to the corner store. Miller is fragile, cracking under the weight of what he witnessed, but too afraid to speak. The husband sees it in his posture, the slump of his shoulders, the way his hands tremble when he smokes. But fear does not absolve him. Silence is complicity. One night the husband waits by the alley near Miller's apartment. Rain drizzles, pattering against dumpsters and asphalt. Miller stumbles out of the corner store, paper bag in hand, hood pulled low. The husband steps from the shadows. Miller freezes, eyes wide. Recognition flashes across his face. He knows. "No, please." The words barely leave his lips before the husband strikes. The blade arcs, swift and final. Blood sprays across the wet pavement, mixing with rainwater, running toward the gutter. Miller collapses, bag tearing open, cans rolling across the ground. His breath gurgles, fading. The husband kneels, stares into his eyes as the life drains. His breathing slows again, steady, measured, ritual complete. By the time the sirens scream, he is gone, a ghost swallowed by night. Back home he sits in silence. The ring on his finger glints under the lamp. He touches it, thumb tracing the band. Two down, one left. Crowley, the ambitious one. The leader, the rot-given voice. He knows this will be the hardest. Crowley is careful, armed, always watching. But the husband no longer fears difficulty. He no longer fears anything. His breathing is steady. His path is set. The man who was once broken is gone. In his place stands something else. Not whole, not healed, but focused, and in that focus lies a promise. Crowley's time is coming. Two down, one left. But vengeance does not move in silence forever. The bodies of Daniels and Miller do not vanish into the night. They are found, and with them comes panic. Panic dressed as order. The precinct walls close ranks. Press conferences multiply. Words like cowardly attack and violent offender fill the air. The police chief's face is grim, cameras flashing, microphones pushed forward. His voice is steady, but fear snakes underneath. This is an assault on law and order. We will find who is responsible. Behind closed doors, the district attorney sharpens his teeth. He calls meetings late into the night, his office glowing in sterile light. Files scatter across his desk. He doesn't need proof. He doesn't need evidence. He needs a scapegoat. And the husband, broken, grieving, black fits perfectly. Threats begin to drip, subtle at first. Letters slipped under the door. A knock at midnight, but no one there. Then louder. Police cars idling outside his house, headlights glowing, engines rumbling. The media takes the bait. On television, anchors spit polished lies. Sources say the widower has a history of instability. Neighbors recall erratic behavior after his wife's tragic passing. Authorities believe he may be armed and dangerous. They paint him as a threat, not a victim. A man unraveling, not a man grieving. His face fills the screen, stripped of context, twisted into menace. The narrative shifts. She is forgotten. He becomes the story. At home, he sits in the dark, the glow of the screen reflecting off his eyes. His breath is steady, but his chest burns. Each lie is another knife, each headline another erasure, but outside, truth resists. The protests grow. What began as a handful of candles flickering in the cold has swelled into hundreds. They gather outside the courthouse, voices rising against the lies. Chants echo down streets. Justice for her. Justice for her. The flames of the candles blink in the night, hundreds of small lights pushing back the dark. They sway like stars brought to earth, fragile but unyielding. The husband watches from the distance. He does not join, but he feels them. Their grief mirrors his, their rage vibrates in his chest. But he knows chance cannot break the machine. He has seen its gears, and the machine is adapting. The Dar whispers in reporters' ears. Police tighten their ranks. Warrants loom, investigations close in. The circle tightens around him, invisible but unrelenting. He grows paranoid. Every sound at night feels like boots on gravel. Every car idling near his street feels like surveillance. Sleep no longer comes, not even in fragments. His eyes stay open, scanning, watching, and then the ally he trusted, one of the few who offered quiet help feeding him scraps of information, whispering truths about schedules and movements sells him out. It comes as a whisper first, a sense of something wrong, then confirmation, his hiding place nearly breached, police showing up too close, too sudden, too precise. He realizes someone has been speaking, someone close. The betrayal cuts deeper than any wound. He trusted, he allowed someone inside the silence, and now the silence has been broken. The system is not chasing ghosts anymore. It is chasing him. He shifts, adapts. His movements grow sharper, colder. He changes phones, switches cars, takes routes through alleys and back roads. He burns notes, leaves no trace. The ritual of preparation becomes ritual of survival. But rage simmers. The betrayal does not stop him. It fuels him. Crowley remains the ambitious one, the sergeant who smiled while she died. The husband stalks him like a shadow. Watches the gym visits, the late-night drives, the arrogant stride into the precinct. Crowley moves like a man untouchable, shielded by rank and confidence. One night the husband follows him to a bar. Crowley laughs loudly, glass raised high, surrounded by fellow officers. He slaps backs, boasts of control, drips with arrogance. The husband stays in the dark corner, hood up, drink untouched. He studies him, every gesture, every weakness. When Crowley leaves, stumbling slightly into the night air, the husband follows. The alley is quiet, wet with rain. The sound of boots echoes against brick. For a moment the husband hesitates. His breathing slows, deep and steady, the way it always does before the strike. The knife feels heavy in his pocket. His hand rests on it, but headlights flood the alley. A patrol car creeps by, engine humming. Crowley lights a cigarette, oblivious smoke curling into the damp air. The moment passes. The husband melts into the shadows, vanishing before eyes can find him. The machine has grown watchful. The city itself feels like it is conspiring, every corner sharp, every light a spotlight. He retreats, but not defeated, only delayed. At home, the tension coils tighter. The walls press in. He smashes a bottle against the floor, glass scattering across tiles. His breath comes hard, ragged, then slows, always slows. He sits at the table, maps spread again, bloodstains still faint on the edges, reminders of the line he crossed. His eyes lock on Crowley's name, circled in red, unfinished. The system resists, but he resists harder. The protests outside swell into thousands. Drums beat, chants roar, candles glow like a river of fire. Police form barricades, shields glinting under streetlights. The air is heavy with tear gas and rage. Inside the courthouse, the DA watches from windows, frowning. The machine is under strain, but its teeth remain sharp. The husband watches too, from the edges, unseen. His chest tightens at the sight of the crowd. Their chants echo her name. Their candles blink like a heartbeat. For a moment he feels her there, alive in their voices, but voices cannot finish what he has started. He exhales slowly, breath steady. His eyes harden. The system has declared him unstable, violent, dangerous. Perhaps they are right, but instability does not frighten him anymore. Violence no longer feels foreign. Danger is the only language he has left. The machine wants him cornered, wants him broken, but he is not done. Not until Crowley's blood stains the ground. The war between man and system is no longer hidden. It breathes in the chants outside the courthouse. It breathes in the blinking lights of patrol cars. It breathes in his lungs, steady, measured, and he knows the system will resist. But so will he, and when he strikes next, It will not be hesitation. It will be final rain. It falls in sheets, hammering the city, turning streets into rivers of reflection. Headlights smear across wet asphalt, sirens wail somewhere far away, but here it is only the storm. He follows Crowley through it. The sergeant moves quickly, shoulders hunched against the downpour, cigarette glowing faintly before the rain kills it. He cuts down an alley, slips into an old warehouse by the abandoned precinct once a staging ground, now rotting with neglect. The husband waits outside for a moment, hood drawn low, breath steady. His lungs fill with damp air, heavy with rust and decay. He exhales, slow and measured, always measured. Then he enters. Inside, the storm becomes a muffled roar against the corrugated roof. Water drips from broken beams. Shadows stretch long across cracked concrete. Crowley is there, muttering into his phone, voice sharp, irritated. No, I said keep the story clean. The DA doesn't want panic. Daniels and Miller, yes. I know. Just spin it. That's what you're paid for. His arrogance hangs thick, even in the dark. The husband steps forward, footsteps echoing faintly. Crowley stiffens, hand dropping to his holster. Who's there? Silence answers. Another step, another echo. Crowley draws his gun, eyes narrowing, scanning shadows. The dim light flickers, buzzes. The husband's voice emerges at last, low, steady. You remember her? Crowley freezes. His face shifts, recognition dawning. You, the husband, emerges from the dark, drenched, knife in one hand, pistol in the other. His face is expressionless, eyes hollow but burning. Crowley steadies his aim. You're finished. You think you're gonna get away with this? You're just another thug. The husband steps closer, unflinching. She begged. You laughed. Rainwater drips from his hood, pooling at his feet. His breathing is calm, slow, like a ritual. Crowley sneers, but there's a flicker of unease. She resisted. You know how it goes. The husband's voice hardens. She resisted dying, that's all. The storm groans through the roof. Silence fills the gaps between their words. Thick, suffocating. Then Crowley fires first. The gunshot rips through the warehouse, deafening. The bullet slams into concrete inches from the husband's side. Dust erupts. The husband doesn't flinch. He moves fast, slamming into Crowley. The gun clatters across the floor. Bodies collide. Fists crash into flesh. The sound of bone-on-bone grunts echoing off steel beams. They grapple, slipping on wet concrete, rain seeping through broken skylights. The husband drives his shoulder into Crowley, slamming him against a rusted support column. The sergeant snarls, fists flying, landing blows that split lips and bruise ribs. The husband absorbs them, face twisted in pain but unyielding. He remembers her gasps, her choking breath. Each strike Crowley lands is swallowed by memory, by rage. He counters. A punch to the jaw, another to the ribs. Crowley staggers, coughing. The husband presses close, knife grazing Crowley's throat. His breath is slow, steady, whispering against the sergeant's ear. Am I you now? The words hang heavy, trembling with doubt. Crowley spits blood, snarling. You'll never be me. You're nothing. The husband's grip tightens. His knuckles whiten around the knife. His reflection flashes in the blade of face unrecognizable, hollowed by grief and fury. Then why do I feel like you? He whispers. Crowley lunges, shoving him back. They crash to the ground, wrestling, the knife skittering away. Hands claw, fists slam. The storm outside crescendos, thunder rattling the walls. Finally, the husband reaches the gun. Fingers wrap around cold steel. He rolls, points it at Crowley, chest heaving, breath measured. Crowley freezes, eyes wide now. For the first time, fear cracks his mask. You won't do it, he spits, though his voice shakes. You're weak. You think this makes you strong. You're just proving us right. The husband's hand trembles. His vision blurs with rain and blood. Her face flashes in his mind, not the last moment, but her laughter, her warmth in the kitchen light. For a heartbeat, he hesitates. Then he breathes, slow, steady, the ritual of the strike. The gunshot explodes. The sound is deafening, reverberating through steel and concrete. It echoes long after the flash fades. Longer than the impact. Longer than Crowley's final gasp. The sergeant collapses. Blood spreads across the floor, mixing with rainwater, seeping into cracks. His eyes stare blankly at the ceiling, unblinking. Silence follows. Not peace, not triumph, only silence. The husband stands over him, chest heaving, gun still warm in his hand. His ears ring, but beneath it he hears his own question, whispering again and again. Am I them now? The knife lies nearby, its blade reflecting the flicker of dying light. The gun drips with blood. His hands tremble, not from fear, but from the emptiness inside. There is no satisfaction, no relief, only a hollow void swallowing him whole. He drops the gun. The clatter echoes across the warehouse. For a long moment, he stares at Crowley's body, at the stillness, at the absence. Then he sinks to his knees, soaked in rain, in blood, in silence. He whispers her name, once, twice. His voice cracks, the word dissolving into the roar of the storm. The camera lingers, the blood spreads, the rain falls. The silence stretches longer than the shot, and the man who sought justice finds only emptiness. The storm eases, but only outside. Inside the warehouse, silence lingers heavy, thick as smoke. The gun lies at his feet, Crowley's body sprawled in a widening pool of blood. Rainwater trickles through broken beams above, dripping onto concrete, onto flesh, onto steel. The husband stands there, unmoving. His breath is steady to steady, not the panting rush of survival, but the measured rhythm of ritual. Revenge is complete, but he feels nothing. He stares at Crowley's lifeless eyes, at the still chest, at the blood running like rivers toward the cracks in the floor. He waits for release, for the storm inside him to quiet. It doesn't. Instead, emptiness swells. He kneels slowly, almost reverently, beside the body. His hand hovers, trembling, then presses against the blood-soaked uniform. The warmth still clings to it, fading by the second. And in that warmth, he remembers hers. Flash, the kitchen light. She's humming, hair falling loose over her face. She turns, smiling, holding a mug of coffee. Flash, the hospital corridor. Children reaching for her hand. Elderly patients whispering thanks. Her voice steady.com/flash. The couch at night. Her laughter rising with the music. Soft, alive. Flash, the road. Her last breath. Her fingers twitching toward her ring. The montage crashes into him, relentless. He gasps, clutching his chest as though the memories themselves are knives. He whispers her name into the silence, but it doesn't echo back. Justice has come, but not for her, only for him, and in that justice lies damnation. His humanity is gone. He pushes himself to his feet, unsteady, soaked in rain and blood. His reflection catches faintly in a shard of broken glass on the ground. His face is unrecognizable. Hollow eyes, split lip, blood smeared across skin. He stares at it for a long time. The mirror he smashed weeks ago flashes in his mind, the fractured pieces reflecting a man he no longer knew. Now, the reflection is complete. He knows this man. This man is him, and he hates it. The sound of chants filters faintly into the warehouse, carried on the wind. Protesters outside the courthouse, thousands now. Their voices rise in unison, calling her name, demanding truth. The husband steps outside, hood drawn low. The rain has eased into drizzle, the streets glistening with reflections of streetlights. In the distance, he sees them. The crowd, a sea of faces lit by candles, flames flickering, blinking like stars. They chant her name over and over, a rhythm of grief and defiance. For a moment, his chest tightens. He almost feels her there, in their voices, in their light. But he cannot join them. He walks the other way, into darkness. His shadow stretches long across the wet pavement. The chants grow fainter with each step. The candles dim behind him. His breathing slows, steady, ritualistic. But now it no longer signals control. It signals emptiness. He passes a storefront window, pauses, stares. The cracked glass reflects his face, bloodied, broken, hollow. A stranger, not the man she married, not the man who laughed at her jokes, held her hand, dreamed of a future. The man in the glass is something else. A shadow wearing his body. He presses his hand to the glass. The reflection fractures, warping, splitting. His ring glints under the streetlight, smeared with blood, the symbol of love, now tainted by vengeance. His throat tightens. For the first time in weeks, tears rise. They burn his eyes, but he doesn't let them fall. He just stares at the stranger in the mirror until the drizzle hides him. Behind him, the chants rise louder. Candles sway in the dark, their flames fragile but stubborn. They are not for him, they are for her, and she deserves them. He deserves nothing. He turns, walks into the shadows, each step slower, heavier. His figure dissolves into the night. The camera lingers, on the candles, glowing defiantly, on the crowd, voices echoing her name, on the cracked mirror, reflecting emptiness, and finally on the silence he leaves behind. Justice came, but it demanded everything, and now, there is only loss.